In other news, rap star Tupac Shakur checked out of a New York hospital just hours after undergoing surgery for multiple gunshot wounds. Shakur was shot 5 times during an apparent robbery early yesterday morning.
On November 29, 1994, a Manhattan jury convened to deliberate on charges of sodomy, sexual abuse, and weapons possession against Tupac, 23, and his co-defendant, Charles Fuller, 24. They were accused of assaulting a 19-year-old woman, Ayanna Jackson, Tupac's accuser, in the 38th floor suite of the Parker Meridien Hotel in New York, which cost $750 per night, on November 18, 1993. After the first day of deliberations, Tupac headed to a promotional stop in Harlem and then proceeded to the Quad recording studio in Times Square to record a track with Little Sean from Uptown Records. Facing a maximum sentence of 25 years, Tupac knew that could be his last recording session for a while. On Wednesday, November 30, 1994, Tupac Shakur was ambushed and shot inside the lobby of a recording studio in Times Square, Manhattan. Tupac's criminal defense team was in New York with him, awaiting the verdict on sexual assault charges against the rapper. Tupac's attorneys later claimed that the shooting seems to be a setup and smells like a setup. Subsequently, Tupac publicly accused Biggie Smalls, who was upstairs in a recording session at the time, of being involved in planning the attack. Earlier that night, Tupac had been invited by Ron G., a DJ in New York, to record with him. Tupac agreed to do the recording for free, as a favor to the young rapper he wanted to assist. Typically, he charged a fee to other rappers for recording on their albums. Based on the testimonies given to the police by witnesses of the shooting, it happened as follows. After completing the recording, Tupac was summoned by a rapper named Booker, who invited him to record a song with Little Sean, a rapper from the East Coast. Tupac said he would do it on the same day for $7,000. Booker agreed and informed Tupac that it would be at Quad Studios, at 723 7th Avenue between 48th and 49th Streets in Times Square. While heading to the studio, Tupac received a second call from Booker asking why he was taking so long. Then, a third call came, informing Tupac that they didn't have the money to pay him. Tupac told Booker he wouldn't record unless he was paid and hung up. Finally, Tupac received a fourth call from Booker saying that Uptown Entertainment would handle the fee, and they would be waiting for him after the recording. Tupac headed to the studio. At this point, it was already a little past midnight. At 12:16 a.m., according to Detective George Nagy of the NYPD's 18th Precinct Midtown North, Tupac, accompanied by his manager Freddie Moore, brother-in-law Zayd Turner, rapper Randy Stretch Walker, and half-sister Sekiwa, arrived at Quad Studios. They parked the car at a lot on 148 West 48th Street and then walked the short distance to the studio on 7th Avenue. 9 minutes later, Tupac and his entourage stood in front of the studio, as reported in a police report. On the small balcony overlooking 48th Street, some teenage members of the JUNIOR Mafia, a group affiliated with Biggie Smalls, were taking a smoke break. They shouted greetings to Tupac before returning inside to inform the rest. Upstairs, there was a festive atmosphere. It was a large studio, and many people were there that night. The word had spread that Tupac would be recording there, and people were excited in anticipation of the popular rapper's arrival. Also present to record, but on a different floor than the one scheduled for Tupac, were Biggie Smalls and Puffy Combs. They were working on Biggie's Warning video.
My paper, damn. Niggas wanna stick me for my paper, damn.
At the time, Quad had recording studios and equipment on 5 different floors. On the street, on 7th Avenue, as Tupac and the others approached the entrance of Quad Studios, they saw 2 black men near the elevator, dressed in military uniforms, recognized by Tupac as gang attire mainly worn in the Brooklyn area. A third man, also black, was in the lobby, pretending to read a newspaper. Tupac and his group didn't think twice about the men. Tupac pressed the intercom button. The 4 were allowed to enter. As they headed for the elevator, Tupac, according to the police report, was ambushed by the 3 men, including the one who was standing outside the lobby. 2 of the 3 men drew identical guns, said Detective George Nagy of the NYPD. They went straight at Tupac, ordering him to lie down and demanding he hand over all his jewelry and money. When Tupac tried to reach for his own concealed weapon at his waist, they shot him. 1 bullet hit the groin area and passed through the thigh, costing him a testicle. Then, the assailants proceeded to assault him, ripped off his jewelry, and shot again, hitting him in the chest. Tupac was shot 5 times, twice in the head, twice in the groin area, and once in the left hand. Freddie also got hit once in the abdomen, but none of the injuries were fatal. The men even snatched jewelry from Freddie Moore while still keeping guns pointed at the others, Nagy claimed. In total, Tupac had $35,000 worth of gold taken from him. Stolen were a diamond and gold ring, a gold bracelet, and several heavy gold chains. Freddie had $5,000 worth of jewelry stolen, including a gold bracelet and several gold chains. Little Caesar shouted to Tupac's team from the recording studio above, so Tupac knew Biggie was there and felt secure, thinking these men were his security. However, a man rises from the table while 2 other men, also African American, enter through the door. The 3 men follow Tupac's entourage until they reach the elevators. At this point, the group draws their weapons and yells at Tupac and his colleagues, "Hand over the jewelry and lie on the ground." In response, Tupac's entourage quickly lies on the ground, but Tupac curses at the gunmen and tries to grab one of their weapons. This resulted in Tupac being shot 5 times, and his manager Freddie Moore also took a bullet. The robbers took $5,000 worth of jewelry from Moore, along with Tupac's $30,000 diamond ring and $10,000 gold chains. They left behind Tupac's gold Rolex embedded with diamonds, resulting in a jewelry theft of approximately $40,000. Freddie Moore pursued the robbers, collapsing in front of a nightclub next door due to a gunshot wound. Meanwhile, Tupac was dragged into an elevator and taken to the 8th floor studio for initial medical attention. On this floor, several familiar faces were present, including Biggie Smalls and Sean "Puffy" Combs from Bad Boy Records. Tupac later described the scene upon exiting the elevator as very strange, noting that no one rushed to help him, they just stared at him as if surprised he was alive. Tupac claimed the only person showing emotion was Little Sean, who was crying. Because of this, Tupac believed that Biggie and Puffy were aware of the planned attack and either did not inform him or orchestrated it themselves. Tupac, according to reports, asked someone to roll a joint while making a call to his girlfriend or mother, and then dialed 911. When the police arrived, Tupac saw some familiar faces again. 2 of the first 4 officers on the scene were William Kelly and Joseph Kelly, no relation, and, seconds later, Officer Craig McKernan arrived. McKernan had supervised the 2 Kellys at Tupac's incarceration in the Parker Meridian and had just testified at the rape trial. "Hey, Officer McKernan," Pac mumbled, lying naked in a pool of his own blood. "What's up, Tupac? Hang in there," McKernan replied, as an EMS team placed a neck brace on Tupac and strapped him to a board. The stretcher didn't fit in the elevator, so he had to be propped up. McKernan helped carry him outside, passing by a waiting photographer. "I can't believe they're taking my picture on a stretcher," Tupac lamented, flipping them the middle finger. Tupac was rushed to Bellevue Hospital. He was hit by a low-caliber projectile, says Dr. Leon Pachter, head of Bellevue's trauma department. If it had been a high-caliber projectile, he would have been dead. Tupac continued to bleed heavily throughout the day, so at 1:30 p.m., Pachter and a team of 12 doctors operated on the damaged blood vessel in his right leg. By 4 p.m., he was out of surgery. Against the numerous objections from his doctors, at 6:45 p.m., he left the hospital on his own. Dr. Pachter said, "I haven't seen anyone in my 25 years of professional career leave the hospital like that." Tupac's mother, Afeni, who had flown in from Atlanta, led Tupac, heavily bandaged, through the back door, facing a crowd of reporters. On the next day, Tupac made a surprise appearance in the Manhattan courtroom where his fate was being decided. He was escorted by Nation of Islam bodyguards, wearing his enchanted Rolex on his right wrist, his left wrist wrapped in bandages, and his head and leg covered by a Yankees wool cap and a black Nike tracksuit. Feel free to share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time.